Start with Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. O Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Srila Gurudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. So we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 22. Chapter 8 is titled Prayers by Queen Kunti. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajang Grahe. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangrahe. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangrahe. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya. Nama Pankaja Maline. Nama Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. Anyone else? Nama Pankaja Nabhaya. Nama Pankaja Maline. Nama Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. Anyone else? Okay, we'll do word for word. Namaha, all respectful obeisances. Pankaja Nabhaya, unto the Lord who has a specific depression resembling a lotus flower in the center of his abdomen. Namaha, obeisances. Pankaja Maline, one who is always decorated with a garland of lotus flowers. Namaha, obeisances. Pankaja Netraya, one whose glance is as cooling as a lotus flower. Namahate, respectful obeisances unto you. Pankaja Angraye, unto you, the soles of whose feet are engraved with lotus flowers. In parenthesis, and who are therefore said to possess lotus feet. And who are therefore said to possess lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Please repeat. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Purport. Here are some of the specific symbolic marks on the spiritual body of the personality of Godhead, which distinguish his body from the bodies of all others. They are all special features of the body of the Lord. The Lord may appear as one of us, but he is always distinct by his specific bodily features. Srimati Kunti claims herself unfit to see the Lord because of her being a woman. This is claimed because women, Shudras are the laborer class, and the Dvija Bandhus, or the wretched descendants of the higher three classes, are unfit by intelligence to understand transcendental subject matter concerning the spiritual name, fame, attributes, forms, etc. of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such persons, although they are unfit to enter into the spiritual affairs of the Lord, can see him as the Archa Vigraha, who descends on the material world just to distribute favors to the fallen souls, including the above mentioned women, Shudras, and Dvija Bandhus. Because such fallen souls cannot see anything beyond matter, the Lord condescends to enter into each and every one of the innumerable universes as the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, who grows a lotus stem from the lotus-like depression in the center of his transcendental abdomen. And thus Brahma, the first living being in the universe, is born. Therefore, the Lord is known as Pankajanabhi. The Pankajanabhi Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha, his transcendental form, in different elements, namely a form within the mind, a form made of wood, a form made of earth, a form made of metal, a form made of jewel, a form made of paint, a form drawn on sand, etc. All such forms of the Lord are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, and there should be a soothing atmosphere in the temple to worship, to attract the burning attention of the non-devotees always engaged in material wranglings. The meditators worship a form within the mind. Therefore, the Lord is merciful even to the women, Shudras and Dvijabandhus, provided they agree to visit the temple of worship in different forms made for them. Such temple visitors are not idolaters, as alleged by some men with a poor fund of knowledge. All the great acharyas establish such temples of worship in all places just to favor the less intelligent, and one should not pose himself as transcending the stage of temple worship while one is actually in the category of Shudras and women or less. One should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to the thighs, waist, chest, and face. One should not try to look at the face of the Lord without being accustomed to seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Srimati Kunti, because of her being the aunt of the Lord, did not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet, because the Lord might feel ashamed. And thus, Kunti Devi, just to save a painful situation for the Lord, began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet, that is, from the waist of the Lord, gradually rising to the face, and then down to the lotus feet. In the round, everything there is in order. So translation again, my respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as a lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Hare Krishna. So these prayers are by Queen Kunti. Is it anybody not sure of who Queen Kunti is? Okay, so we can give a little bit of context. So Queen Kunti, she is the mother of the Pandavas. The Pandavas were 5 brothers: Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev. And Queen Kunti, she went through a lot of trials and tribulations in her life. And every time there were some trials and tribulations or difficulties in her life, she would always go into the shelter of Lord Sri Krishna. And Krishna never leaves his devotees. Right? Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that boldly declare that my devotees will never perish. And we can see from this beautiful pastime that now Lord Krishna, who was taking care of the Pandavas, the Kurukshetra war has just concluded, and the last difficulty to the Pandavas, which was Ashwathama, who was the son of Drona, he wanted to also kill the womb in Uttara's in Uttara, right? The child who was in the womb of Uttara, which was Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit was the last descendant of the Kuru dynasty. Just before this, he tried to kill the Pandavas when they were sleeping But in the middle of the night, instead of killing the Pandavas, by mistake, he had actually killed the sons of the Pandavas, the 5 sons of Pandavas. And when he took the heads of all those sons to Duryodhan, his friend, who was actually lying down because his spine was broken by Bhim in the fight, he thought that his friend is going to be very happy seeing the the heads. But then when Duryodhan tried to press the heads, and he said that the heads were very soft, and he said, these are not the heads of the Pandavas, these are actually the heads of their sons. Ashwatthama then realized his mistake. And when he realized that mistake, Duryodhan was so aggrieved that these were the last remaining Kurus, and he actually passed away with that grief. But Ashwatthama, he had so much vengeance in his heart that he wanted to also kill the last remaining descendant, right? And that's when he actually released the Brahmastra. And Uttara came running to Krishna, that Krishna, please save me, save my child who's in the womb. And immediately Krishna actually entered Uttara's womb, and we read in Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna took the form of a small thumb, and he actually protected Parikshit. And Parikshit Maharaj, when he was seeing Krishna in the womb, he was immediately attracted. He was always thinking that who is this wonderful person with a beautiful crown? And he was always trying to search for that person. And Parikshit means to search, right? And that's why he was always searching all his life. He was searching, who is this wonderful person? So now, at this point, Krishna has already saved everyone, and he is about to depart, and he's leaving, he's on the chariot. And as he's sitting on the chariot and about to go back, Queen Kunti comes, and she's praying, she's sharing her heart, right? And one of the things which our acharyas say, that we have to share our heart in confidence with others. And here we see with these beautiful prayers that Mother Kunti is sharing her heart. She's sharing what all Krishna has actually done. Without Krishna, there would have been so much difficulty. And she's actually saying that, Krishna, please don't leave us. You're here whenever we've had difficulty, and now that you're going, everything is going to be destroyed. Please don't leave us. And then we have this beautiful verse today, which Queen Kunti is saying, Nama pankaja nabhaya, Nama pankaja maline, Nama pankaja netraya, Namaste pankajangrahe. So pankaja means lotus. So when you want to remember, let's say parents want to remember their children, when parents see the child's clothes or the child's things which the child uses, immediately we remember, our children. So in the same way, when we actually see or remember a lotus flower, immediately we remember Krishna. Because Krishna is synonymous to this beautiful lotus flower. The lotus has this beautiful quality that even though it's coming from a muddy water, it's in the water, but no drops of water actually can stick onto the lotus. So here, Mother Kunti is actually explaining or sharing her heart that, oh Krishna, your abdomen is actually marked with a depression like a lotus flower. Right? So we read that how Krishna actually took the form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu was in each of the universes which came out from the pores of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, and from his navel came a beautiful lotus flower, and on top of that lotus flower was Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma then created this universe. Right? Every day of Brahma again creates this universe, and at night there is partial annihilation, and Lord Brahma lives for 100 years. So he's doing work every day. Every day he wakes up, every day he needs to create this universe. And so Mother Kunti is actually explaining that your navel is actually so beautiful, like a lotus flower. Then she says about Pankaja Maline, Mala, right? Mala means a garland. We also have our beads, right? That's also called a mala. We also have a mala around our neck, right? Kanti mala. So mala. So Krishna is always decorated with a beautiful lotus garland around his neck. Next, she says, Namaha Pankaja Netraya. Netraya is eyes. His eyes are lotus, like the lotus petals. So it starts big and then it elongates all the way to the ear. Like if you see Radha Kalachanji, Gornitai, you will actually see that their eyes go all the way to the ears. So beautiful, right? So, Pankaja Netraya. And then she says that your glance is also as cool as the lotus flower. Right? The lotus, when you see the lotus, immediately we are transcended to mode of goodness, or even above that, right? And that's what she's expressing to Krishna, that Krishna, even your glance is so cool, like the lotus flower. And then she speaks about Krishna's feet. And she says that Krishna, your feet are engraved with lotuses. So Krishna has markings on his lotus feet. And that is one of the main ways in which we can distinguish who the incarnation of the Lord is. Nowadays we have so many bogus incarnations, right? Or bogus people who actually claim that they're God. But this is one of the characteristics to actually see the engravings on the lotus feet. So one of the engravings on Krishna's feet is actually the lotus flower. And just like the lotus flower is coming from the muddy waters on the water, so even though it's coming from the mud, the lotus flower is so beautiful. It's not touched by mud. Same way, Krishna, even though he comes down to this material world, he's actually rising from the material world because his feet are firmly fixed in Golok Vrindavan. His feet never touch the material world. So, same way Krishna's feet are described, that Krishna, your feet are like the lotus flowers, which also have engravings of the lotus flower. So here we actually see that Mother Kunti, she is actually explaining what should be our consciousness when we want to see Krishna. So a lot of yogis and bhaktas, right, they are trying to search for Krishna. They're not able to see Krishna. Even though Krishna is inside everything around us and outside everything, still we cannot see Krishna. And here we have Mother Kunti. She's explaining that Krishna, you're so merciful that you're in front of me. So she is actually the most qualified to explain to us how we can see Krishna face to face. And she explains the only way to see Krishna is by bhakti, by devotion. Only when we have love, Krishna prem, then we are able to see Krishna. Otherwise, we should have been able to see Krishna in everything. Same way we have the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Right? Prahlad Maharaj, he went through so many difficulties. His father, who was the great demon Hiranyakashipu, put him in so much trouble. Right? And yet, he was unfazed in all the difficulties he had. His father tried to kill him with elephants, tried to push him down a cliff, put him in burning fire. He had snakes in a pit. But still, Prahlad Maharaj was not unfazed. In every situation, he was remembering Krishna. And that is the sign of a pure devotee. A pure devotee never leaves Krishna. He's always remembering Krishna. Just like here we have Queen Kunti. Mother Kunti is always remembering Krishna, never forgets Krishna. So she's trying to explain how can we see Krishna in pure consciousness, in devotion. Then Srila Prabhupada so mercifully explains how we who are less intelligent, how can we see Krishna? Right? We are on the path of bhakti, we are sadhakas, and then Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna, he is so merciful, he comes in the form of the Archa Vigraha, right? He comes in different forms, like the form of wood, the form of earth, the form of metal, the form within the mind. So the Pankajab Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha in different elements. Why? So we are able to put our mind, our senses, and we are able to actually keep Krishna with Smaran. So Srila Prabhupada also explains then how we should have the atmosphere in the temple. So I'm going to read from the purport that there should be a soothing atmosphere in the temple of worship to attract the burning attention of the non-devotees always engaged in material wranglings. The meditators worship a form within the mind. So the atmosphere in the temple should be soothing. Outside the temple we see, every day we wake up and we're going to work and we see how much difficulty is there. At every step there is some difficulty in our lives, right? We're going through so much trouble. And that's the reason why when we come into the temple, we should have a soothing atmosphere in the temple. Because when we have a soothing atmosphere, then immediately our mind, our senses, our body, mind and words, we're able to remember Krishna. We're able to have smaran of Krishna. And that, dear devotees, is devotional service. For us to be able to remember Krishna all the time. With all the difficulties, right? Like Mother Kunti and the Pandavas went through so many difficulties, right? They were actually imprisoned, right? Devaki and Nanda Maharaj were imprisoned. And Krishna saved them from King Kamsa. Krishna saved all the children of Mother Kunti from constant danger. They were actually put into a poisoned house, right? A poisoned cake was given to Duryodhan. Duryodhan was then, Bhima was poisoned by Duryodhan and he was pushed into the water. And again Krishna helped. There was a great fire. The cannibals were trying to attack them. Then we heard about Draupadi, how she was actually tried to be disrobed in the whole assembly. And when that was happening, nobody actually helped her. And that's the reason why that assembly was called not a very good assembly. And only when she actually fully surrendered to Krishna, immediately Krishna provided. And then we also saw how Krishna helped the Pandavas during the Kurukshetra war, right? Like there are different designations which are given to people in an army, like a colonel, like a major. So during that time at Kurukshetra, all these different fighters had designations like that too, like Ekarathi, Maharathi. So Ekarathi is a person who can fight against one chariot, one rath. And Maharathi is a person who can fight against multiple chariots at one time. So all these wonderful warriors who were on the Kurukshetra battleground, they were all Maharathis. And Arjuna was feeling concerned, but because he had Krishna on his side and he had surrendered to Krishna, Krishna made it look so easy. So Mother Kunti is remembering all these different calamities. And then we also see that Mother Kunti is then praying to Krishna that, oh Krishna, please keep giving me such calamities so I can always see you in front of me. So we don't pray like that, but this is the prayer of Mother Kunti. Why? Because even the calamities or the dangers are actually Krishna's energy. Krishna actually puts us into these difficulties for us to be able to learn from these situations. Each one of us is going through something in our lives, right? We're all going through something in our lives. And the reason why Krishna puts us in these situations, unique situations, is for us to learn from these situations. Learn that Krishna, we cannot do this on our own. We are fully surrendered unto you. Only through you we are able to be saved from this material world. Please, Krishna, pick me up from this material world and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Right? We don't want to make this place convenient, right? This is like a prison house. When there are prisoners in a prison house, there might be different classes of prison houses. But we don't want to make our lives comfortable in a prison house, right? If we are in a prison, we want to get out. So in the same way, we are in this material world, which is like a prison house, and we want to get out. We don't want to make this world convenient for us, comfortable for us. We should always remember that every step there is difficulty. Padam padam vipadam. And the only way for us to get out is to fully surrender to Krishna. And when we surrender to Krishna and we understand that our plans are never going to work. We might have a lot of plans, but our plans are never going to work. When we remember that it's Krishna's plan and we have full faith in Krishna's plan, then we have nothing to worry because Krishna is taking care. And that is what happened with Arjuna. Arjuna on the battlefield, he had asked Krishna that, Krishna, please take my chariot in the middle. I want to see who all have come here to fight. And when he saw his uncle, his cousins, his teacher, his grandfather, immediately his Gandiva started to slip. His skin started to burn. And this great fighter, the best fighter in all the three worlds, that person said, Krishna, I don't want to fight. He was waiting for this opportunity all his life as a fighter to do his duty, and then he said, I don't want to fight. Have we all faced that in our lives? We've all faced that, right? We've had a situation where we're like, wow, nothing's going according to our plan, right? And that, dear devotees, is actually the mercy of the Lord. The Lord puts us in these situations for us to be able to understand that it's not us, we are not the doer, but Krishna is the person who is going to help us during that time. He actually alleviated some of our pains. It could have been much worse, but Krishna has alleviated that pain. So here, Mother Kunti, she is helping us understand how we can purify our consciousness so we are always able to remember Krishna. And this is a very famous verse where Queen Kunti's prayer is such that she's actually comparing Krishna to that lotus flower. She's comparing Krishna's navel to the lotus flower, his eyes, his glands, his feet. And another important thing here is Srila Prabhupada explains that when we come in front of the Archa Vigraha, in front of Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji, Gaurnitai, we should start by seeing their lotus feet. Meditate on their lotus feet. And then go all the way up to his beautiful smiling face. But here we see, like if we read the translation, she says, my respectful obeisances are unto you, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower. So she starts with the abdomen, then she speaks about his lotus flowers, then his glance, and then she comes to the feet. And this is where, we should be so grateful to Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada then helps us understand why this happens. And he explains in the purport that Mother Kunti was the aunt of Lord Krishna. Her brother was Vasudev, and Vasudev's son was Krishna. And because this was a nephew, even though Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is actually in this pastime as the nephew of Mother Kunti. So, to not make the Lord feel ashamed, Mother Kunti starts from the abdomen. This is called rasabhas, right? So she did not want to commit rasabhas. And that's the reason why Mother Kunti starts from the abdomen all the way to the feet. And then Srila Prabhupada in the end explains, in the round, everything there is in order. Right? So everything comes back in order. So we should all try to follow in the footsteps of Mother Kunti, that we are able to always remember Krishna in the difficulties we might face, or seemingly difficulties which we might go through, always by remembering the beautiful form of our dear Lord Krishna. So we'll stop here and we'll see if devotees have reflections. So anything which stuck to you, which is going to help you during your day, be nice for you all to share.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the class. I really appreciate it. One thing you mentioned about that our plans always fail, and so we have to kind of surrender or trust in Krishna's plan for us. I like this point. My question is that how can we kind of understand what it is Krishna's plan is for us? Maybe we are we want things to move faster, or I don't know, we don't understand what he has planned for us. So how do we understand?
Yeah, it's a very important question. In the moment when our plans aren't going well, you might think that we're so alone. Nothing is going according to our plan. We're so alone. However, if we have faith in Krishna, that Krishna, you've told in the Bhagavad Gita that you never let your devotees perish. I have that faith, and I'm going to continue my devotional practice. Just like Lord Brahma said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Tattenu kampam susumikshamano. That, my dear Lord, I might have so many difficulties, but still, if I continue down my devotional practice, very soon, rightfully, I can actually come to you. So, what I've seen personally, what helps me is going to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Whenever I have any difficulty, I try to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it always seems like Krishna is speaking to me. It's exactly what I need to hear. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has been wonderful. And it is the Amala Puran, right? It's a spotless Puran. It's the essence of all the Vedas. The other thing which has helped me is to have good friends. You don't need to have an army of friends. You just need to have one good friend. And one friend whom you can actually share your heart in confidence, and that person is not going to judge you. And the third is having sadhus in your life. Gurus, sadhus. Somebody whom you can reach out to, share your heart with. And then with their experience and their knowledge, they're able to cut these material knots in our lives. And then, over a period of time, when we look back at that moment of difficulty, we actually get to see that, yes, Krishna, these were all dots in my life, and now you've connected it like a garland. And it was actually for me to learn from that. So those are some things. Maybe that's okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Dharma Prabhu.
Thank you for the nice class and the nice answer. I was thinking Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra too. Sometimes you can't get a hold of Guru or Sadhu, right? You just open Bhagavad Gita and you get the answer like right away. Have you ever done that? You just close your eyes and pick a point and start to read, and like instantly you get an answer, But I think you may have been referring to larger issues too, like what do you do in your life? How do you make bigger decisions in addition to difficulty? Well, it's the same answer, isn't it really? You rely on advanced devotees, especially followers of Srila Prabhupada, disciples and grand disciples. They've already done this. They've been through it. I sit here and I feel like an older devotee because I'm older, but I've just been here a long time. But I see young people and they're starting their lives and they're wondering, well, what should I do? What should I be? Should I give 5 years to Krishna House? Should I give a year to the movement, or should I go to school, or should I get a job? And these are all hard questions, but Krishna's in your heart, remember that. And so Super Soul's there, and Super Soul will always help you. If you meditate and you're quiet and you chant, you just think, Lord, what should I do? And then someone comes up to you and says, oh, hey, there's this great opportunity. Do you want to do this? It's really amazing, isn't it true? That these things happen for devotees. Krishna makes these kind of arrangements for us, especially if you're really yearning in your heart and you're praying to him and you're asking Krishna for help. So I like your question. Thank you. I'm sorry to add to it. I just felt like...
That was good. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
But my question was along the same lines. It's like, who do we go? Like Kunti had Krishna, right? I mean, Krishna, and the Pandavas were her sons. They were the sons of religion personified. So they're a pretty amazing outfit, right? Yudhisthira, just to have one son like you, who was Yudhisthira, right? But she had Arjun, she had Bhishma, the twins, amazing personalities. So who do we go to?
So we should remember that all these personalities are eternal associates of Krishna. And when Krishna comes to this material world, he doesn't come alone. He brings his entire entourage. So all of them are actually just playing a part in the drama. And they might be just covered with Yoga Maya, only for us to learn from these pastimes. So, we sing the samsara prayers every morning, right? And in the samsara prayers, we actually sing in the end that, O spiritual master, you are non-different than Krishna. You're representative of Krishna. And these gurus, these sadhus, they are actually seeing Krishna all the time. Like when we do the achaman, before we get on the altar, the prayer in the end is, these sadhus are actually like these brilliant effulgent sun. They're actually seeing Krishna all the time. And because they're able to see Krishna all the time, they're able to reveal Krishna to us. So we actually should feel very grateful in the time we are in. What I mean is, we have Srila Prabhupada, we have Srila Prabhupada's books, we have Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and we have seen the changes which have happened in all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. So we know this process works. And we have access to what Srila Prabhupada shared in his teachings, through his books, his lectures. And we also have personal association with all these sadhus. Like when His Holiness B.B. Govind Maharaj was here, he was giving class, and he was sharing how he had come to Krishna consciousness. And he was explaining that he met this Mataji, and this Mataji gave him prasad, and then she opened a book from the Bhagavad Gita and she read him a verse. And immediately his heart was melted. And then Maharaj said, "Where can I get this book?" And she said, "Oh, we just have one copy." And I was just thinking to myself that, how lucky we are that we have so many copies. And so I really feel so grateful that we are at this time. This is still the Sankirtan movement. Gaurang Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is still going on, and we are just part of it. And we can expand this movement by taking full advantage of all the resources we have. So, like you were saying, like if we are just sitting and somebody just comes up to us and shares that, maybe Prabhu, maybe you should do this should be your seva. Like we should take that as Krishna's direction. Like Krishna is speaking to us through this wonderful devotee, through this via medium. I hope that's okay.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Any other question?
Any other reflections? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I guess on that point, so like if someone just kind of comes and tells us something, how do we understand if it's Krishna's arrangement or it's Maya playing a little trick or something? How do we understand that?
We have to use our intelligence as well. We don't want to just, naively take whatever, right? And that's where, like Prabhu was saying, we go to Sadhu Guru Shastra, right? Sadhus who are well established. We have gurus, your spiritual master, and then we have the Shastra itself. So, my Guru Maharaj, His Grace Vaisheshikar Prabhu, he always shares that whenever he has some situation in his life, he always has a set of devotees he goes to. And he shares any difficulty which, or situation which he's going through. And then, when he consistently hears, a path he needs to take, he meditates on that and then he takes on that path. And then there's also another thing which he shares is that sometimes by providence, something might be happening in your life. And we shouldn't try to change providence. An example is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Prithu Maharaj was trying to conduct 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, 100 horse sacrifices. And during the time when he was trying to perform his 100 sacrifices, somebody became envious. Haven't we all experienced that in our lives, that when we are trying to do something, we see people becoming envious? So, Lord Indra became envious of Prithu Maharaj. And what he did was, he did not want Prithu Maharaj to become more powerful than him. So he came and he stole the horse. Not once, not twice, 3 times. He stole the horse 3 times. And then Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu came to Prithu Maharaj and then explained this, that by providence it's okay. Just let it be. And he let it be. And because he let it be, because it was by providence, his fame grew. And then Indra came and he begged for forgiveness. So we might have situations in our life where we might want to try to fix it, but sometimes we should just remember that it's providence.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. You. You want to say something? Oh, here comes the mic. One sec, Prabhu. we have devotees online.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was hearing Srila Prabhupada's lecture, and he said it all. He says that if you cannot remember Krishna in the struggles of your life, it will be impossible to remember Krishna at the time of death. That's very profound to me.
Yeah.
You have to go deeper. Things don't seem, things are not what they seem to be. But if you take Krishna's guidance from who's within us, and that our intelligence becomes activated and will guide us and show us the path. What Krishna wants us to do and what Maya wants to do.
This is a very important point, which you bring up, that we should always remember that we are trying to serve Krishna. Because we might be doing activities, we might be addressing the deity. But if our mood and our attitude is not that we are actually serving for Krishna's pleasure, then, what's the use? Like if you're trying to do it for fame, or like a pujari, we are like, oh, everybody's looking at me, then we've lost the point. If we are trying to do it in a meditative mood, that Krishna, we are here to serve you. Please engage me in your service. And constantly, if we make that our mood and attitude of our life, then Krishna says that even if at the time of death you're not able to remember, Krishna will come and he'll take you. So it's a very important point. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.